Cat-astrophe Sunday evening after doing the Bigfoot conference in Arkansas yesterday. I'm going to test that quarter jet, and it's not even hot out. So we're going to unload. guess we'll see what this quarter jet does. I just pulled the secondary metering rods. It had plenty of fuel, and these were really rich ones I had in it, really thin and tapered fairly early. I usually actually run the shorter taper so they're leaner on transition, because it actually had a secondary, I think it was too rich on the transition, so I'm going to put these in it. They'll be a tad leaner wide open, and I think I saw a 12.4 at the top, the second gear, but it was richer than that through the run otherwise, so I'm leaning it back. Well, we're going to try a leaner secondary metering rod. let's just say it's not good. Not the way I thought it'd go tonight. All the coolant mixed with the oil out of a hole in the side of the oil pan. That's all you need to know right now. Well, might have had a catastrophic failure, but can't tell, but that blood moon tonight's really cool. Come on, Jesus, come on back, we need you. Well, I didn't show, the army puke, olive drab green gold looking oil that was pouring out the side of the oil pan yesterday, but I figured that was some kind of combination of the coolant and the oil, because of course I had opened this up and it's empty, and it looked like it spilled out at least 3 gallons of liquid after I stopped. They had to clean the track, what do you know. So I know got a hole on this side of the block, on the side of the pan, so I'm going to assume that came from the other side. So, or maybe it didn't. I don't know. I don't know how far I'll get today. I'm going to start pulling it down. Note that rockers are in place, except this one. So I guess we'll look at that head first. Obviously something's gone awry here, so that's somewhere to start. And you can see no water came to the top end, because it's just when it broke it dumped out the bottom. It never got sent to the top. Baby's clean as a whistle, except you can whistle through the block, probably. That exhaust push rod, you can see the lifter bores broke off. Lifter's over here, so top of the lifter came off, or whatever. That's right there. So let's just say that I could have been pushing the limits of not having a lifter bore brace with the valve spring pressures and the 620 lift roller. So it's, if this caused it, I don't know if it would. This could be an after effect. It's either an after effect or the cause. If exhaust, because if that just broke, no, we'll just move on. Either way, this is narrowing down the combinations of using my leftover smaller roller cam and these lifters in another block. We might just have to stay with the hydraulic flat tappet for a little while, because we're not going to spend money this year. Just use what we got, but we got plenty. I bagged up all the good rockers and push rods except for the one exhaust cylinder, and I bagged those separate, even though that push rod rolls like it's good. But we'll quarantine the rocker and push rod and nut. And got the lifters, I guess you call it -1 set in the bag. Broken parts here. And of course right here where the broken part is, that suspiciously looks like the opposite end, where the big end of the rod minus the cap. So it's kind of peculiar position to have the big end of the rod under the lifter. Seems peculiar, not normal. Right there. Yeah, that's, hopefully it didn't scuff my camshaft. We'll figure that out later. Number 7 intake valve kissed a piston, but the one with the broke exhaust lifter did not. So that's so far. I guess that upside down rod belongs to the other side, because these are intact. Of course, you can see the plugs had just started to get light tan probably from the couple runs with the Quadrajet Rich before it popped. Pretty sure they were white before that. But the heads look okay on this side. So that's good. We'll just check and see if that leaks on this one for fluid, and then we'll know if the valve's seating okay. Well, Tuesday back at it. Getting this header off. Gonna pull this head off and see the real carnage. Of course, here's a better view of the rod, which I guess is gonna be number 6. It's on the wrong side of the engine, jammed in there that way. Yeah, that's the first seen of that. It just ain't right. Luckily, this header bolts were easier. Studs are out. That's pretty pleasant, actually, taking those in and out. So let's see what we got. I don't know if I can sit that there. That's what I figured would happen. This is not a mistake. And as I thought, number 6 slapped the head. I don't see valve impact, just smack of the head, and that seems broken. Yeah. So, yep. Yeah. So we'll just have to figure out if the wrist pin seized up, broke the piston, or the rod just shattered. When we inspect the other pistons later, we'll have a better idea if it was just straight up rod failure that punched a hole in the block by how the health of the rest of them are. But kind of think the head be all right. So I might have to replace one valve on the other side, but shit, I'd run it on another engine. Kind of wonder if, as shiny as it is here, if maybe there was something with the rod bearing and it was slapping the head before it blew up, because there's a lot of pounding on that. Looks like my piston number is 75628. I think 75628. We'll figure that out later. So what 455 goes in the car soon? Probably not going to pull the motor out of this. Ronnie Tanner's 455. It's actually old and it's just still running in the car, and I'd rather just leave that alone and be able to move the car around as we work on it. Then we have permission for Gus's 455 that hasn't been fired up, but if I do use this, not changing nothing on it, so it's pretty mild engine. So instead of running 7.0s, it might be more like an 8.0. Nothing wrong with that. Or the old 455 out of the Catalina that was really just, if I recall, oiling on this cylinder or the other one, and might be able to just tear it down and hone and re-ring one cylinder. I've got some 30 over rings, so it could actually patch this up rather easily. So we're gonna decide that by this weekend. Hell, we might even put a motor in this weekend or pull one out. This is the oily head, so it's number 4. It's the one that would be the one I would pull and hone and re-ring and see what the cylinder looks like. That's what we're gonna check out soon. Before I go have a cold one, we're gonna do a water test in here and see if it runs out. All right, it's not very scientific, but I guess we could still pull the valve and put it in the drill, spin it, and then you'd be able to feel if it was wobbly. I'm going to say that's not half bad though. So stay tuned and we'll see if this 455 can get patched up and at least have some pretty good power and still make the duct tape drags next month. Or sooner, we won't even miss TMCC races, even though I can run the wagon in the truck. So stay tuned, my friends.